When we arrived at Fish and Wildlife District headquarters, Bruce Freske's crew was in the midst of burning 200 acres right out his back door. I know some folks don't always appreciate fires burning on grasslands, so I asked Bruce how he responds to the skeptics. Looking out over this scorched earth, somebody driving by is going to say, what the heck? What the heck did they do to this beautiful prairie out here? Why do you have a prescribed burn out here?
Right, no, that's a good question. We get that asked a lot. And basically, there's no place in Minnesota that wouldn't be forested if it wasn't for fires. It's the fires that make the grassland and keep it there. And if you, even on this property, if you look at it, there's a lot of places where trees have come up because we couldn't get the fire out there frequently enough or hot enough. So if without fire, you won't have prairie, you won't have grassland.
And all the good grass, all the habitat that you want out here for the wildlife will grow back next year. Some people wonder why you would do it maybe during hunting season when they could be out here hunting, or during the spring when maybe it's a nesting season for upland birds or waterfowl, and they say, well, why the heck are they out there burning at that time? What do you say to those people?
Well, I ask them when they want us to burn, because I mean, you burn in the spring or you burn in the fall, and when the grass is dry, and it's hard to get it to burn in the middle of summer when everything's green. So that's when you have to burn. But yeah, we get asked that question. You know, if you burn in the spring, you're eliminating nesting cover. If you burn in the fall, you're eliminating wintering cover. And what I tell folks is, first of all, on our areas, we don't do the entire tract. We only do a portion of it, and we don't burn them every year. Maybe once every 3 to 5 years.
Yeah, and like you said, you can look out over here and you can still see part of the ground here has still got grass on it, right. So there's a place for the wildlife to go. And we did actually see a pheasant fly over after the burn went through. A pheasant flew back in. When this 1,000-acre plot was purchased from a private landowner 40 years ago, there were only a few wetland ponds on the property. Almost all had been drained. Today, there are at least 15 ponds, along with restored prairie that ducks need for nesting, as well as pheasants. To bring the wetlands back, the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service looked at the historic aerial photos, surveyed the property, then constructed small dams to hold the water back.
You can look at some of the old aerial photos and get a kind of an idea what it was, but the first aerial photos taken were like in the late 1930s. And there were tens of thousands of wetlands just in this county alone. And in many, many places there was actually more water than land. And some places actually probably weren't optimal nesting for mallards just because there was so much water. And of course now 90% of that water is gone. So there's only certain areas where we still have a lot of wetlands. And this area here, and this tract here, we've pretty much put all the wetlands back that were here.
Restoring wetlands for ducks and geese is one of the benefits of prescribed burns. But waterfowl also need grass, and that benefits other wildlife like pheasants, deer, and insects.
Well, and for ducks in particular, a lot of them are ground nesting. There's a few that nest over the water like redheads, but like mallards nest in grass. And our issue is you really need 4 acres of upland to 1 acre of wetland to have pretty good production. If you have less than that, the predation rates start to get really high. Let's talk about funding though for what you do, because I always like to talk about hunters being the biggest conservationists out there, essentially, and a lot of money that hunters, whether it's buying shells or buying licenses or whatever, buying federal duck stamps is your primary source of funding for lands like this. Right. Well, pretty much all the duck stamp money has to by law used for land acquisition, so either buying land or buying easements.
The Morris District staff manages 53,000 acres of public land on 248 separate tracts, but it's only a small fraction of the habitat that wildlife enjoyed 150 years ago. Working with private landowners is essential to improving wildlife habitat. Some farmers are doing their own restoration work with help from various conservation easement programs. Bruce says they will work with farmers and provide technical advice and help landowners secure funding. As Bruce and I talked, we recognize that although farmers, hunters, and environmentalists may have different and sometimes opposing viewpoints, one thing we can all agree on is we need clean water. Native grasslands with their deep root system filter water and keep it clear.
Gives it cleaner water, slows it down, and actually a lot of that water, when it's slowed down, actually goes into our groundwater, so for our groundwater aquifer. When the water doesn't slow down, of course, it runs off the land and goes to the Gulf of Mexico. So it's important for groundwater as well.
It's an important work restoring these wetlands and putting more grass on the ground, because as a hunter like me that just got really excited about that pheasant over there, I appreciate seeing this work. So I'm going to end this interview right now before sunset, because I'm going to go chase that pheasant. So
All right.
Bruce, thank you very much.
Thank you. Good talking with you.